Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of 15 Minutes With. I'm your host, Sam Dostler, and today we are thrilled to be joined by Nathan Grube, the tournament director for the Travelers Championship. Nathan, I believe this is the fourth straight year we have done something like this. And first off, I want to thank you for coming back on, taking some time. I know it's busy in the lead up to the tournament and coming on to talk about the Travelers Championship.
No, Sam, listen, I look forward to it. I appreciate the opportunity, obviously to talk to you and everybody who's listening. It's always fun to talk about the tournament to people who understand golf and love golf and things like that. So thanks for the chance.
Yeah, no problem. And I want to, there's plenty to talk about with the 2023 tournament, elevated event, fantastic field. This interview is going to air in the beginning of June, but right before we recorded this, John Rahm committed to the tournament, and we'll talk a little bit more about the field. But since we've started having these conversations, this tournament has gone through so much. The first year we talked was 2020, the COVID year, then the partial tournament in 2021, then the full tournament in 2022. And then now the elevated event for 2023. With all that in mind, what has the preparation for this year's event been like?
Uh, so the best thing I could say is for those of you who have, and if you've seen Old School, when Will Ferrell was doing his debate, and he blacks out, and he has this amazing debate, and then he's like, "Wait, what just happened?" In that scene from that movie, if you go back to 2016 when Europe shot 58, and then Jordan chipped in 17, and then we had huge crowds in 18, and then you have the pandemic, and you put on an event with no fans, and then 21 were coming back, and then we're testing everybody on the court. Like the last 7 years, like I'm not even sure what happened. Like I feel like Will Ferrell in that movie, like I blacked out. I'm like, what just happened? So I mean, the preparation for this year has been just, I mean, it has been building for the last 3 years, right? I mean, we've been doing things that we have never done before with this event the last 3 years. How do you put on an event with no crowds? How do you transport players safely? How do you do all this stuff? And so this is literally the first full year we've had since 19. So it has been, so many ideas that we had that were going to come online in 2020 didn't, and they hadn't, I mean, just fan enhancements and moving the crowds around and concession lines, and the technology with digital tickets and what that allows us to do, and these other venues that we're going to put on property. So all of these things have been like 3 4 years in the making. And so how have we planned for 23? I mean, this has been, I would say, one that we planned for the longest, because we had a lot of ideas in the drawer that were going to come out. So I think there's going to be a lot of people who've been to this tournament before who aren't going to recognize when they come on property. They're going to come in through the gates, and I mean, right out of the box, like the whole entrance is going to look different. The where we put the media, how the different local affiliates are broadcasting, their morning shows, and then the merchandise tent is in a totally different spot, and it frames the range really differently. And we have viewing decks, overlooking the practice facility that we've been wanting to put in for a long time. So, I mean, I could spend an hour walking through just the layout of the golf course and how it's going to be different. But to go back to your original question, the planning for 23 has been like 4 years in the making, that we just haven't been able to bring everything online. So it's going to be a lot of fun for people when they see it.
You mentioned the fan enhancements, and we talked about the field going to be so great this year. What's the excitement level around the tournament? I mean, we're recording this on May 10th. We're just, what, about 6 weeks away from the event. You live in Connecticut. What's the vibe? What do you feel?
It is, I have more people talking to me about the golf tournament than I even thought understood what I did for a living. People are always like, oh, he does something in golf. I don't know what he does, like in our neighborhood, people who just don't care about golf. But it has just, I mean, people are listening that we are this designated status now. People are understanding, wait a minute, there's no other professional golf tournament in New England this summer. Like the Travelers Championship is it. Like nothing in Boston, nothing in, like it. This is the professional event. And then people just kind of keep hearing the buzz. Wait a minute, were we really one of these four big events? Like what happened, and why is the purse 20 million? And so I'll get random questions at the grocery store, or I was picking up dinner last night and a guy stopped me. I'm on the sidewalk and I just gone to CVS. I'm going to grab something. He's like, hey, what happened with so, so like people are just buzzing about it. And I think what's pretty cool about Connecticut is when people have a chance to be on this type of stage, they love it. The fans love it, the sponsors love it, the volunteers love it. Like, people in Connecticut don't shy away from the opportunity to lean into the highest level, right? Like, and so when they have this chance to be like, hey, we are one of the top events on the tour, people are embracing it and they're excited about it, and they think we can, like, that we can do this pretty well. And so that buzz has been a lot of fun. I mean, the sponsorship, we sold out of venues way earlier than we've ever sold out of them before. We built a bunch of new product to the player right of 18 hospitality, and that sold out. So the excitement is translating into people wanting to be here, and people wanting to entertain their clients here, people wanting to entertain their guests here. So that's been awesome to see. And I think what's super cool about that is, because that happens, we're going to be able to break our charity record from last year. Like, I can already tell you that. Like, I know we're going to give more money to charity this year than we did last year, because of how much support and involvement we've already gotten. And so, knowing that that's going to happen at the end of all this, that's pretty exciting too.
You mentioned the charity, and charity always so important to the Travelers Championship. Last year, more than $2.5 million raised. What is Travelers? Why is it so important to Travelers? What drives Travelers to give back to the community so much? Because it's just amazing every year to see where those dollars go and how much of an impact that it has throughout the entire state.
So I want to be careful not to speak for Travelers, the company, but I do also know a lot of their, motivation and kind of what's in their DNA, right? So I kind of look at it as a blend of two things. One, you have this corporate partner who is so vested in the state of Connecticut, and in their DNA, they give, oh gosh, 20+ million to charity a year. I got to check that stat, but like, them as a company, they are already giving back a massive amount to the community and projects and straight donations and grants and a whole bunch of things there. And then you have the PGA Tour, that is this professional sports organization that is literally built to put on these events and give the proceeds to charity. So it's this completely different professional sports model than the NFL, the NHL, anything else, right? I mean, those are run for profit, which is fine. I'm not saying that's bad. But the PGA Tour is run to generate money for charity. So when you have a corporate partner like Travelers who is doing that, and you have the PGA Tour that's in their DNA, they're doing that. And when the two of those combine to have a title sponsor who wants to give back to the community, and the PGA Tour is built to give back to the community, that's how we look at everything we do. Every new event that we do, everything that we sell from a corporate standpoint, like sponsorship standpoint, everything is driven with hey, is that going to raise more money for charity? So when that is driving you with everything that you do, it's pretty cool when you have your corporate partner and the tournament really rowing in the same direction on that.
We're talking with Nathan Grube, the tournament director of the Travelers Championship, the event June 19th to 25th. And Nathan, we're recording this in mid-May. The field already impressive. We mentioned Jon Rahm just hours before the recording of this conversation, committing Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, defending champion Xander Schauffele, all already committed. Max Homa. I could just keep going on and on with the list of players. What was different this year? I guess a two-pronged question. What is it like to have a field like that? And also, what was a little bit different this year in the recruiting process, right? Because it's an elevated event. There's requirements for players. So how were you able to combine what was already successful with Travelers in building that field and make it work in this elevated world as well?
So, fair question. And we looked at that. So Andy Bissett with Travelers, he's the EVP with Travelers. He and I spend a lot of time on the road talking to the guys and building relationships, right? I mean, we have the last 16 years, and relationships with the players is vital. I mean, because the guys have so many choices, right? There's really good tournaments out there every week. They cannot play them all. And they're having to pick and choose. And so we've always tried to develop these relationships, and we've been very fortunate over the years to build some really good fields, right? 3 of the top 10, 4 of the top 10, 5 of the top 10. But sitting here in May and having 6 of the top 10 guys already committed, that's awesome. Because to your point, we are this elevated event, but the guys still don't technically have to play. They're allowed to skip an event And, even Rory came out and he ended up skipping 2, like the guys don't have to play. I mean, there's financial things in there, but they still don't have to play. And so making sure, we are out there, I saw you at media day briefly, but then we went to Charlotte that afternoon to spend some time with the guys. And it at the end of the day, they don't have to, but the relationships that we've been able to establish, they know what they get when they get here. Like John just committed, John Rahm, he's #1 player in the world. We've had a relationship with John since he was a junior in college. Like when he was a junior, we gave him an exemption and he came here. When he was a senior in college, we gave him an exemption and he came here. So John knows us, and it felt right for him to be like, you know what, yes, I want to go. And could I have skipped? Maybe, but like I want to be there. So it was different, but it was also the same in the sense that it was still relationships, and it was still talking about what the event's going to do different. And we're going to try to elevate the event for the players too. It's not just an elevated experience for the fans that I was talking about, and for our volunteers, we are trying to take the player caddy experience to the next level. And actually, one of the things we're doing, I think we talked about this a little bit media, we're building a coffee and ice cream shop for the players on the range this year. And people might kind of laugh and joke about that, but like, take a step back. Like these guys spend 4 to 5 hours on the range a day, like grind. I mean, it's their office. They're working on their game. They're out there with their coaches. They're in the elements. Like that is where they are getting better at their craft. And so we are taking that very seriously. We put a lot of umbrellas out there for shade. And then this year we said, you know what, we're going to do something over the top. And so we're building a coffee shop and an ice cream shop right there for the players, their managers, their agents. And so that's one thing. Again, we want to continually try to elevate the experience for everybody. But that's I may spend some time down there, honestly, Sam. We're calling it the Brew and Moo. So I will be down there at the Brew and Moo if you need to find me. So
I mean, what, you put in 100 hours that week? I think you'll need a cup or two of coffee. We're chatting with Nathan Grube, tournament director from the Travelers Championship, the event June 19th to 25th, TPC River Highlands in Cromwell. You mentioned that relationship building, right? John Rahm coming as a college player. Patrick Cantley came as a young player, and what did he shoot? 10 under one round, 9 under, almost shot a 59 when he was still an amateur. And last year, you invited some young players. Ben James was still in high school. Talk to me of why Travelers just put so much of an emphasis on building those relationships at a young age, because it pays back. Right now you have John Rahm and Patrick Cantley coming back here as top players in the world.
I mean, Tim, the best way I think we can say it is we're always trying to invest in the future. We're always trying to, have relationships with guys. I mean, that's funny. I remember, to your point, Patrick was a freshman, Cantley at UCLA, and we called him up and we said, hey, he's 18 years old, and he's like, wait, what? And it's like, hey, come out of exemption, and then his world, his life changed. But what actually I remember is even funnier than that is, so next year we gave Cantley an exemption again, his sophomore year. And there was a kid in the clubhouse, one of his younger friends who he'd played some competitive golf with, super skinny, small kid. And he looks at me and he goes, and they were having lunch, and he goes, I'm going to play in your tournament someday, Mr. Grube. And I was like, yeah, that's nice. What's your name? And he goes, Justin Thomas. I said, oh, nice to meet you, Justin. Good luck. Be sure to write in for an exemption, And then sure enough, the next year, we gave Justin an exemption when he was at Alabama. So it's just funny how, things like that just I don't know, they evolve if you're going to take the time to actually invest in those relationships, right? And we spend a ton of time talking to the writers, the agents, hey, who are you looking at in school? Who is some of the talent out there? Let's be sure that we go and meet them. And then we look for them. Like, it's hard to find young college players, young guys that are, I mean, they're moving around the country, right? Like, how are you going to go see them? Tour events, you can see these people. So, being really strategic about who's giving exemptions where, or when you want to go have a chance to meet a kid who, let's say, got an exemption into Genesis in LA, and you want to make sure you have a chance to meet him. So we put a lot of time into that. And actually, it's funny, before you and I talked, we were on about a 90-minute call about exemptions, right? We have 4 spots. And we've been talking since December about this, but it's coming to a head. about spots now. We spent an hour and a half talking about it, debating. There's 2 or 3 of us on the call that are just, what about this? What about this? And we do that every year, really trying to make sure we give it to the right kid. And then last year, Michael Thorbjornsen, that kid out of Mass, people are like, wait, where's, Michael? He's at Stanford, he's on the West Coast. But he's a New England kid, and we really did our research and we tried, and he finishes 4th at our tournament. Like he was staring down the lead on the back nine on Sunday, having a chance to win our tournament. And he came off, and he's such a good kid. He came off, and I said, Michael, I said, you made us look like geniuses. Thank you very much. Like joking that, hey, we gave this kid an exemption. He finished 4th. But we try to build relationships with these kids, and we try to, make the best use we can of those spots.
Let's talk a little bit off the course now. An announcement that went out in early May. Women's in Golf Day is back this year. What's the excitement level around that?
Man, that is one of the hardest tickets to get in golf at our tournament. I mean, we sell, oh gosh, what do we have? I think 750 seats in there, and we sell that out in minutes. I mean, it is. And I think what it is we've created it created itself. We just try to steer the momentum. But it's a fun day at the golf course. We have a whole show that we do. I mean, it's called Women's Day. Katie Kirk is speaking this year, coming in as a speaker. I mean, we've had Martha Stewart. There's just been some great speakers over the years. And Katie's going to be awesome this year. And it's become one of those things. We had it off the golf course one year, and people said, no, we like it at the golf course because we like to go to Women's Day. And then we, have this experience afterwards, and a lot of them are being introduced to the game for the first time. So I would say Women's Day has become part of our DNA, and it is definitely one of the fastest selling tickets that we have. But it's good to have it back on the course this year.
And what other events can fans expect off the course? Whether it's a fan zone, what else is going on tournament week?
Oh gosh, I mean, if you start with, to your point, I mean, we have something for juniors on Tuesday called Game Day, which a lot of the players will bring kids inside the ropes, give them an understanding of what they do to prepare for practice rounds. We have our Monday Pro-Am. Wednesday, we have our Celebrity Pro-Am, where people can come out and see the guys wear shorts and be super casual and play with local celebrities. We're bringing back Celebrity Mini Golf, which is actually one of the more competitive things that we do. We have a miniature golf course in the fan zone, and all the media bring teams, and the teams all compete, and then the winning team gets a $5,000 donation to the charity of their choice. And you would think that it was, U.S. Open qualifying, and you got to make this putt. I mean, they are grinding over mini golf for these teams, and bragging rights and stuff like that, which is absolutely hilarious. And then to your point, we have Women's Day, but all through the week, just throughout the golf course. I mean, we try really hard in the fan zone to make it an experience that the whole family can enjoy. You got arts and crafts down there. You have face painting. You have the rock wall. You have a bunch of interactive stuff for the PGA Tour training zone. Travelers built a whole huge interactive thing for fans, from video games to the chipping challenge to all kinds of. I mean, you can spend hours in the fan zone, which my kids do, and never see a shot of golf. And so we try to make it, like it's a ticket to Disneyland. You're going to be able to buy a ticket. You can be out there for the day, and you can come experience a whole bunch of stuff. And we actually built 4 free venues on property where general admission tickets can go in, and climate controlled venues. You go in, you sit down, and they're strategically positioned around the golf course to make a general admission ticket holder feel like they have a place to go. You don't have to be one of these corporate partners to have a tent and have a place to go. So we have a lot of non-golf fans that come out to the tournament, which is great.
What's this final stretch look like for you and the rest of the team as we go into the stretch run before the event?
Oh, caffeine and adrenaline. I mean, I would say that. I mean, what's always interesting about it is you're not going to have a delay in your build deadline, right? You're not going to have a construction delay of a week. Like I know when people are showing up. It is June 19th, right? There is no question. It can't be like, hey, we're not ready. How about the 23rd? How about, hey, you know what? How about the 25th? So there is that healthy sense of pressure, but you can feel it. People are excited about it. and you're trying to work with the neighborhood on the build. You're trying to work with the golf course on building around it. You're working with your sponsors, because a lot of our sponsors, you get a skybox and you're inviting 50 people a day. Like, how do you do that? So like, we're working with our sponsors, educating them how to work on invitations, how to work on RSVPs, what restaurants are open, helping people book hotels. And we're booking hotels in Middlesex County and Hartford and West Hartford. We just helped a group book hotels in New Haven. Like, everything is just, you've invited a bunch of people to the party, and you're going to try to make sure they have a good time when they're here.
And we'll get you out on this one. How can fans find tickets? What different tickets are available, and what's the best way to go about finding them?
Yeah, travelerschampionship.com under tickets is the easiest way to do it. Depending on when this airs, we'll probably be sold out of a couple days. I know as of the time we're recording this, Friday in Champions Club is getting really close to selling out. So I would say go there and take a look. I would say get them soon, because it's, the demand is there, and things are going to be sold out. But again, that's all good. It's people are excited about it. And there's lots of different options. So travelerschampionship.com.
He has been Nathan Grube, the tournament director of the Travelers Championship, the event June 19th to the 25th, TPC River Highlands in Cromwell. Nathan, as always, thanks so much for taking some time. It's going to be a great event, and I think everyone's looking forward to it.
Sam, thanks for the time, and congrats again on winning Long Drive at Media Day. You earned every bit of that.
One of 14 fairways. I hit one of 14 fairways, I think. So hey, I picked the right one.
All I saw was you won Long Drive, man. That's all that matters.
Exactly. Score doesn't matter. Once again, Nathan Grube,
Thanks,
tournament director of the Travelers Championship. I've been your host, Sam Dostler. Thanks for listening to this edition of 15 Minutes With.